You are not a perfectionist. You are protecting yourself. If small mistakes feel threatening, if being observed changes your breathing, if you reread messages multiple times before sending them, if you feel exposed when someone compliments you, if rest creates guilt instead of relief, this is not ambition. This is fear-based perfectionism. And in many cases, it is a nervous system response to early emotional exposure, moments when being visible did not feel safe. Healthy ambition is flexible. Fear-based perfectionism is rigid. Healthy ambition allows mistakes. Fear-based perfectionism interprets mistakes as threats. The difference is not character. The difference is nervous system activation. At some point in your life, imperfection carried a cost. Maybe it was subtle, a raised eyebrow, a withdrawn tone, a comparison to someone better, a look of disappointment. Or maybe it was obvious, criticism, humiliation, rejection, emotional withdrawal. The body does not forget those moments. Imagine a child who learns that approval only arrives after performance. Good grades bring praise, achievements bring warmth, quiet behavior brings peace. But sadness is inconvenient, anger is disrespectful, confusion is weakness, neediness is too much. The child learns something powerful. Connection is conditional. So they adapt. They become impressive instead of expressive, composed instead of honest, capable instead of vulnerable. They monitor their tone, they monitor their reactions, they monitor their image, not because they love perfection, because they fear disconnection. In adolescence, a single public embarrassment can shape years of internal caution. A wrong answer, laughter, correction, heat in the face, tightness in the chest. 10 seconds externally, a permanent imprint internally. Visibility equals humiliation. From that day forward, you rehearse before speaking, you double-check before submitting, you avoid situations where you might not excel. This is not personality. This is adaptation. Perfection becomes armor. Overthinking becomes surveillance. Self-criticism becomes prevention. And because it works, because it reduces visible mistakes, the nervous system keeps using it. Now you are older. You appear competent, responsible, reliable, disciplined, but internally you are rarely relaxed. You rewrite emails, you delete posts, you hesitate before expressing opinions, you apologize excessively, you feel guilty resting, you feel uneasy when praised, you replay conversations at night. People call you high-achieving, but high achievement does not require chronic tension. Hypervigilance does. Underneath fear-based perfectionism is often a quiet belief: if I am not exceptional, I am replaceable. If I am not impressive, I am invisible. If I am not useful, I am unwanted. So, ordinary feels dangerous. Imperfect feels unacceptable. Rest feels undeserved. You do not feel allowed to simply exist. You feel required to justify your presence. This creates a subtle but constant internal pressure. Imagine holding your breath slightly throughout the day. Not enough to panic, just enough to stay alert. That's what constant self-monitoring feels like. Even when alone, you are evaluating yourself. How did that sound? Was that intelligent enough? Was that too much? Was that embarrassing? Was that unnecessary? The internal observer never turns off. And over time, this creates exhaustion that looks like burnout, but is actually chronic self-protection. Perfection promises safety, but it often creates isolation, because connection requires vulnerability, and vulnerability requires imperfection. When you only show polished versions of yourself, people connect with your performance, not with you. That is why many high-functioning perfectionists feel lonely even when admired. Admiration is not the same as intimacy. Intimacy requires being seen without armor. Fear-based perfectionism is intelligent. It wants reduced pain.
It once increased acceptance. It once protected you. But protection is not the same as freedom. Freedom begins when your nervous system learns a new experience. Imperfection does not equal abandonment. Mistakes do not equal humiliation. Visibility does not equal danger. This change does not happen through force. It happens through repeated, safe exposure. Posting something imperfect and surviving it. Expressing confusion and not being rejected. Resting without earning it first. Making a mistake and remaining connected. These acts seem small, but to a system trained in exposure avoidance, they are profound. You do not overcome fear-based perfectionism by lowering standards. You overcome it by increasing internal safety. Safety in your body, safety in your relationships, safety in your humanity. You were not born afraid of being seen. You learned it. And what is learned can be gently unlearned. Not overnight, not through self-criticism, but through compassion and repetition. You are not broken. You are adapted. Perfection was protection, but protection is not the same as peace. And peace begins when you allow yourself to be human, visible, imperfect, unfinished, real.